Find out what the Highway Patrol is doing to crack down on drunk drivers this holiday weekend. And families flock to Jones Park for a day of fun and music. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Garcia. We'll have more on those stories in a moment. But first, it has been 1 week since 5 Gulfport churches were broken into. Today's services resumed at those churches. Carrie Grace visited with Pastor Travis Anderson and his congregation to see how they were dealing with the incident. It's tonight's top story.
As Dr. Anderson gave the benediction at Hillside Baptist Church, members made their way to the fellowship hall, the scene of a break-in just last Sunday.
The door was open, the other door was kicked in at the finance room, and the window was up, and they came in and robbed us.
Hillside Baptist was only one of 5 churches that awoke to broken doors and ransacked rooms last Monday morning. Pastor Anderson was the first person to survey the damage thieves left behind at his church. Since the break-in, he has began to form an opinion about how they were so knowledgeable about the churches.
I think they go to the church, I think they find out where money is carried, and they go and ransack that room or find that money, or if it's a vault there, they're going to just take the vault.
New Birth Full Gospel, O'Neill Road Baptist, Forest Heights Baptist, and Ebenezer Baptist all fell victim to theft the same night. Dorothy Tatum is a member of Hillside Baptist Church. She says the break-in has definitely given her reason to worry.
What is going to happen next? You know, will our church get burned? What are they coming after next?
Since Monday, Pastor Anderson has taken steps toward increasing church security. He has put in orders for cameras and an alarm system in hopes they will never have to go through this again. Carrie Grace, WLOX News.
Earlier today, we spoke with Gulfport Police Chief Leonard Papania. He says at this time they still have no leads, but are urging anyone with any information to please come forward. Law enforcers from California to Florida have been participating in a national initiative all weekend targeting the removal of impaired drivers from the roads. So far this weekend, 3,300 citations have been issued to drivers in Mississippi. 115 of those were for DUIs. That's according to officials with the Mississippi Highway Patrol. And there have been 3 fatalities on Mississippi roads this weekend. Law enforcers are going to continue to crack down through this holiday weekend to help keep the roads as safe as possible.
Our goal is, one, you know, it's not about the citations. It's not about writing tickets. If we wrote no tickets, that'd be fine. It's making sure everybody gets from point A to point B safely.
This is the 11th year the Mississippi Department of Public Safety has participated in the national initiative. As boaters head on the waters this Labor Day holiday, the Department of Marine Resources wants everyone on board your vessel to enjoy the water responsibly. Boaters should know the weather conditions and have a float plan regardless of your level of experience. Wear a life vest. Have working lights and flares on the vessel. Anyone operating a boat with an inner tube or water skis should have another person watching everyone on board. DMR says a big issue is boaters not paying attention to other boaters. DMR patrols are handing out free McDonald's ice cream cards for kids wearing proper safety gear. As for marine life, DMR says they've received reports of several sharks around the barrier islands. A large fire took over a Gulfport home just before midnight last night. According to officials, it took 15 firefighters about 20 minutes to put out the fire on the 600 block of Tennessee Street. The home is actually abandoned and no one was inside during the time of the fire. Today, the empty home stands vacant with thousands of dollars worth of damage. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Well, parts of the coast saw some rain today. Can we expect any more overnight? Let's go to meteorologist Joel Young for our first look at the evening forecast.
Yeah, you're right about that. Parts of the coast did. Really, I think if you just asked anybody, they'd probably say it was a dry day because most people didn't see anything. If we did see any rain, it was confined over George and Jackson counties. We had a cluster of thunderstorms develop over Mobile County, and that pushed out some outflow over into George and Jackson counties, sparking up those thunderstorms. Pearl River and Hancock counties stayed dry for the most part. We saw saw some showers and thunderstorms in southeast Louisiana, but they stayed well to our west. And we even had some severe weather over in the Florida Panhandle, but of course that stayed off to our east. And we should stay dry through the overnight tonight as well. Partly cloudy and warm. I still have a chance of an isolated thunderstorm in the forecast, but I really think we're done with that. Otherwise, it's just going to be muggy with increasing clouds in the morning, and we'll probably see an isolated thunderstorm during the day as well. But I think for the most part, like today, your Labor Day is going to look dry for the most part, and we are watching the tropics. I'll have details on that here in a few moments.
Thank you, Joel. Families flocked to JZ 94.5's 12th annual Family Day in the park at Jones Park in Gulfport. There were vendors, children's activities, and food, but the big draw of Family Day was most definitely the music. The music started playing, and the crowds rushed in to get a front spot near the stage under the Barksdale Pavilion. Family Day in the park showcased all types of performers in an event that's focused on the family.
This is our way of giving back every year. It's just incorporating families of all backgrounds, all shapes of life.
Daniel says the event has grown over the years, drawing in anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 people. With splash pads in Jones Park, balloon animals, local vendors, and up-and-coming artists like Pretty Girl Status, it's easy to see why.
I like this event because everybody been singing all the time. Because I like the gospel. People have been doing the gospel. And I like those two girls. Well, I don't like them as a girlfriend, you know.
As the event goers sang and danced along to the musical variety, performers in the spotlight were thrilled to be around so many families during the Labor Day holiday.
Today we perform. We come here and have fun for Labor Day, you know.
We make sure that we interact with them, definitely. We come on, get everybody in it. She's the hype girl most of the time.
The crowds also enjoyed the gospel dancers. Daniel says their performances and everyone else's caters to people of all walks of life and all ages. And the family event is in fact family run. His brother Tabari also helped organize the musical event.
His thing is to hype up the crowd, get some energy, and just kind of get people to feel relaxed. And I think he did a great job of that as well.
Daniel says artists have already contacted them for a spot in next year's event. And Family Day won't be limited to just Gulfport. It's also going to be held in Moss Point. And that Moss Point event is scheduled for Saturday, October 19th at the Moss Point Riverfront. Daniels wouldn't spill the beans, but says you can expect a major artist coming over for that event. Young women from across the state were in the capital city this weekend learning how to be the leaders of tomorrow. 90 teens learned how they can be advocates for the community at the Mississippi Girls in Action Looking Beyond the Stereotypes Summit. The one-day event allowed older women to mentor the girls about their experiences. Organizers hope when these girls return home, they'll be able to provide a service to the community. They say no matter what age, you can make an impact.
It was students who decided to come to Mississippi from all across the country, and they decided to fight for civil rights. Students did that. And so we want these youth to realize that they play an important role in our society. It was them back then, and it's them now that are going to make change for our future.
There was also a session for parents, One Voice, and the NAACP's Youth and College Division hosted the event. Coming up, will the U.S. engage in a military strike against Syria? We'll have the latest from Washington, D.C., and legendary journalist David Frost passes away. We'll take a look at his legacy. The Obama administration is gearing up for the biggest foreign policy vote since the Iraq War. On Sunday, administration officials argued that new physical evidence shows the Syrian government used deadly sarin gas on civilians. The president wants to punish Syria for the attack, but he also wants congressional support. Larry Jacobs has the latest.
It's now up to Congress to back President Barack Obama's plan to use force against Syria over its use of chemical weapons against its own people.
I feel terrible about the chemical weapons that have been used.
But opinions differ on the best way to punish the regime of President Bashar al-Assad.
We want to hold him accountable. We want there to be some consequences. What is that? Is that just going to war? Is that bombing? Is that killing more people?
Sunday afternoon, the Obama administration sent a high-powered team to Capitol Hill to show classified documents to more than 100 lawmakers from the House and the Senate to help convince them to vote yes on a military strike.
In my mind, it's far from settled. It's is not something that should be undertaken lightly.
Secretary of State John Kerry on ABC's This Week defended the president's decision to unleash U.S. firepower, citing new evidence from first responders that poison gas killed hundreds of Syrian civilians.
We cannot allow Assad to be able to gas people with impunity. And I believe the Congress of the United States will understand that and do the right thing.
But what if the votes aren't there? Will the president act anyway?
The President of the United States has the right to take this action, doesn't have to go to Congress.
But if I hear you correctly, you're saying the president is going to act no matter what.
No, I said the president has the right to act.
So will he?
George, we are not going to lose this vote.
That vote will occur after Congress returns on September 9th. Larry Jacobs, ABC News, New York.
Egyptian state TV is reporting that ousted President Mohamed Morsi will stand trial on charges of incitement to murder. He's been officially charged alongside 14 other Muslim Brotherhood members. The charges relate to the Arab Spring protest in December 2012, when 7 people were killed in clashes outside the presidential palace. Morsi has been held at a secret location since he was ousted in early July. This week in Oregon, a federal judge ruled people on the government no-fly list will have a constitutional right to fly. And if the government takes away that right, it has to say why. The ruling gives fresh hope to one American citizen in Portland who claims the government will not let him travel to his native Libya to visit his aging mother. Tim Gordon has that story.
If you don't have it, oh boy, it's like day and night.
Mustafa El Agbi is talking about the right to fly. He was denied it as he tried to return home after a trip to his native Libya. The American citizen, here since 1979 and a Muslim, finally made it back to Portland in February of 2012 after the FBI kept him from traveling for 6 weeks. Although the government won't tell him so, he believes he is on the no-fly list and cannot travel by air to this day. Maybe the judge's ruling will change that.
I believe, this is a step to the right direction. And all the time, believe me, that what I feel, the justice system at the end, they will prevail.
The other part of the no-fly list ruling says the United States has to give you a hearing and a reason to ground you. Bill Funk is a constitutional law professor at Lewis and Clark College.
It really does fall within the traditional notions of due process that the government is supposed to give you a hearing, enable you an opportunity to see why they're doing something to you. And here they're certainly doing something to you, to tell you you can't fly.
El Agbi longs to travel back to Libya to visit his mother.
This is one of the hardest things for me, my mother. I am old. My mother, just imagine how old she is. You know what I mean? And really, we don't have that much time to spend time together.
The ruling could mean he will be able to travel by air again.
One of the most well-known interviewers of our time has died. British broadcaster David Frost passed away suddenly late last night while on a cruise ship. Edward Lawrence has a look at his legacy.
Saying is that
David Frost received worldwide fame for his historic series of interviews with President Richard Nixon. He is best known for getting the former president to admit wrongdoing in the Watergate scandal.
I let down my friends. I let down the country.
In 1977, 3 years after resigning, Nixon refused to talk with anyone. Frost offered him $600,000 and a cut of the profits. Nixon said yes. CBS News correspondent Anthony Mason talked with Frost in 2008 about that interview.
Do you think he picked you to do this interview in any way because you were an outsider?
I think it helped, yes.
The historic interaction between the two became the basis for a play and later the film Frost Nixon.
I want to talk to David Frost.
Frost rose to fame with the BBC, usually wearing his trademark red socks.
Did you ever believe that stuff about him having weapons of mass destruction?
He made headlines questioning 7 U.S. presidents and 8 British prime ministers. British Prime Minister David Cameron called Frost a friend and a fearsome interviewer. Beyond politics, Frost even went one-on-one with celebrities.
Listen, David, when I meet this man, if you think the world was surprised when Nixon resigned, wait till I whip Foreman's behind.
Knighted in 1993, the late Princess Diana was godmother to the youngest of his 3 sons. Frost died suddenly of a heart attack after giving a speech on the Queen Elizabeth cruise ship Saturday night. He was 74 years old. Edward Lawrence for CBS News, Los Angeles.
Before his death, Frost was working for Al Jazeera English. His wife released a statement asking for privacy during this difficult time. It was an exciting first weekend of college football. We'll give you a recap of all the excitement involving the Rebels, Bulldogs, Tigers, and Golden Eagles. That's up next in sports.
I want to correct a little mistake I made earlier. I said Morgan Socher was a Gulfport High School grad. She actually graduated from West Harrison. And be sure to stick around for the second sports. It's another USM soccer story you're not going to want to miss.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Tyler. Stick around. Joel's got the latest from the tropics and an update on your Labor Day forecast when WLOX News Weekend continues. Thanks, Dave. It's a showcase for local artists in the heart of downtown Gulfport. The Galleria of Fine Art has been open for 6 years. As Steve Phillips reports, this unique gallery helps support tourism and the arts community.
The Galleria is located at 1401 23rd Avenue and is open Tuesday through Saturdays from 10 until 4. It features a variety of works from some 32 different painters, sculptors, woodworkers, and photographers.
I love the coast, and I love doing coastal themes.
Debbie Burkhalter is among the photographers featured in the gallery. She's been a part of this artist cooperative for the past 5 years.
We have such a great group of people, and everybody helps in with everybody else, and it's just a great avenue to show your work being a co-op like this. It's a wonderful place to come to, a wonderful place to see local art. We have very many talented people here.
We're all equal. We each pay a fixed amount of money to be able to hang our paintings, and we all work 1 day a month.
Co-founder of the gallery, Marianne Barkley, enjoys painting.
Mainly in watercolor. I just have a passion for watercolor. This is the Carnegie Library, Lookout Steakhouse. I think it's excellent therapy. I can just get lost in my art. I mean, the watercolors, just the beauty of color is so interesting and appealing and fun to work with.
Art is not only on display here, most of it is also for sale. Plus, gallery visitors may catch an artist at work.
If someone comes in, it makes it even more special that they can actually see artists working.
I love to fish and have a passion for fishing, and I like to paint them and eat them too.
Chris Estes uses a Japanese fish pressing technique called gyoku to bring his colorful finfish to life.
Press them, I come back, add a lot of detail, and then I cut them out and I collage them.
He says the gallery has been a great avenue to feature such a variety of works.
I can't believe some of the art that we've got in here, and a lot of people that do finally come out and see us, they say the same thing, how much art we have going on that is just beautiful.
In Gulfport, Steve Phillips, WLOX News.
The Galleria of Fine Art is located at 1401 23rd Avenue, just north of 14th Street in downtown Gulfport. Coming up, the return of football season means a lot of people will be hitting the computer, getting their fantasy rosters ready. We'll take a look at the growing business behind fantasy football. And later, we'll have some tips to keep the holiday road trips from ruining your diet. You may think fantasy football is only good for sparking trash talk with your coworkers, but for a growing number of companies, it's also good business, really good business. Christine Romans takes a look at the numbers behind the game loved by so many.
Fantasy has become reality for millions of sports fans. The fantasy sports industry says it'll bring in an estimated $1.2 billion this year. The most popular game by far, football. 72% of all fantasy players manage an NFL roster online, paying the associated fees.
People in this country really like watching the NFL, and people in this country really like talking to their friends, especially online, going back and forth, giving a little boast here, a little bit of trash talk there. It lets them do both of those things simultaneously.
And don't expect this fantasy to go away anytime soon. Ibis World, the market research firm, forecasts a 7.6% jump in annual growth over the next 5 years. It's a crowded playing field. 273 companies host fantasy leagues. Yahoo Sports is the leader. ESPN and CBS Sports are close behind, drawing traffic from their TV audience.
I think for a lot of companies, fantasy has meant one thing, and that is revenue. Fans are so interested in getting at that edge against the other players that they're willing to pay for it.
It seems the sites benefit from the competition. Okay, team, consider this. 7% of users look at just one site for their research. Look at this, 44%. They look at 4 or 5 different sites to research their teams. And 30% look at 6 sites or more. All those eyeballs mean more advertising revenue. So who is playing fantasy football? The average team owner is a 41-year-old white male, makes $92,750, is married, owns a home, and he spends $467 per year playing fantasy sports. ESPN is playing right into that audience.
Tom, you're in the league. Bill, you're insane.
But watch out, guys. The ladies are signing up as well, and the NFL knows it.
Touchdown, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, but straight to Julio.
Women are becoming increasingly an audience for the NFL. The numbers on that are really impressive. And it's a way for women who do like the NFL, who genuinely like football, to get involved in the game without having to know or be familiar with some of the more arcane things that we traditionally more associate with men.
So the women in your league may not know the running back for the 78 Dolphins, but they probably know who to play at running back on Sunday. Christine Roman, CNN, New York.
Still to come, the holiday weekend travel can have a negative impact if you're on a diet. Karen Abernathy has some tips to keep you from kissing your diet goodbye when you hit the road next. A lot of people hit the road this Labor Day weekend. Road trips and travel in general are known to sideline a diet for people trying to lose weight and get healthier. But it doesn't have to be that way. Karen Abernathy looks at ways you can hit the road without ditching your diet in tonight's Health Watch report.
Taking a road trip doesn't mean you have to toss your healthful eating plan out the window. Instead of stopping at vending machines and convenience stores for lunch or a snack, try these tips from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. First, chop up vegetables to eat as finger foods, things like carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, and bell peppers. Also, enjoy seasonal fruit in between meals, things like cherries, berries, and melons.
The truth is, 2/3 of Americans don't actually get their fruits and vegetables every day. So it's important to make sure that we try to find ways to do that, at every single meal and snack.
Make lunches ahead of time. Instead of stopping on the road, you can include deli sandwiches, yogurt, and low-fat cheese. For beverages, bring along canned or boxed 100% juice, or, better yet, stick with bottled water. And remember, in hot weather, food should not sit out for more than an hour. Otherwise, perishable foods can be out of the refrigerator for up to 2 hours. After that, the USDA says, throw it out. For Health Watch, Karen Abernathy, WLOX News.
Now it's time to turn things back over to weather. Let's hand it over to Joel Young, who has an update on your forecast.
Yeah, you know what? It's September the 1st, believe it or not. And you know what? It's also the first time in 11 years that we started out the month of September without a named storm in the Atlantic Basin. I think that's saying something, and hopefully we can hold on to that record there. Hopefully not going to see anything anytime soon. We're almost
19. Southern Miss is expected to announce at a later date a specific game in Hattiesburg this year to raise money for Kaylani and her family. And it's even crazier for Natasha because she hasn't even been able to play yet because she has a concussion right now. Still has to sit out, so she can't catch a break in the last couple of months.
That's so sad. Well, hopefully she'll actually get a break.
I agree with that.
Thank you, Tyler. Coming up, find out what one South Mississippi woman is doing to help the homeless on the coast. WLOX News Weekend, we'll be right back. Make the Homeless Smile is a community service project that is sweeping the nation. 20-year-old Gulfport resident Stephanie Ulrich is trying to bring that idea to the Gulf Coast. The project originated from a YouTube video urging people to do something about homelessness. The Gulf Coast edition is set to take place on September 21st, but until then, she says they are looking for travel-size items like toothbrushes and combs. They're also looking for fruit and bottled water. You can drop those supplies off at Port City Cafe in both Biloxi and Gulfport. That's all for the news at 10. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can get WLOX News anytime on our website, WLOX.com.